Okay, this tutorial is for the bee tier tray kit. I have my paper down on my work surface, so go ahead and open your box or get some old paper to lay down. Then first thing that I like to do with my tier tray kits is separate your pieces by color. So I would go ahead and pause this video, look at the picture. You can pull it up on Facebook if that's easier. But I have my white pieces here. I've got this piece, the background to the Be Kind, and then 3 of the banners, and a large wedge. That's gonna go with the white color. And for the black, I've got all of my bees, the words sweet honey, and then the words let it and then the back of the tag. And that is gonna use the half wedge, and I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside. And then for yellow, we have the Let It Be, 2 of the banners, the drip honey frame, the honeycomb, and then the letters for the word kind. So, and also another large wedge. So let's go ahead with our white pieces first. So you obviously will have your paint in your little paint pots. I'm just gonna pour mine right onto my surface. So get your large wedge, dip the side in there, dab the excess off, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do my circle first so I can talk you through with the shiplap lines. So as you notice, as I'm painting, when I very first paint down, I'm staying away from the shiplap line. And then as I deposit most of the paint off the wedge, then I will very lightly move across that line. If I immediately went over the line, then I would probably get quite a bit of paint inside the shiplap. It's okay, it's just annoying to have to clean it out. So now I put most of the paint on this side, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to stay in between the shiplap lines and then move my way across the line. Now, I don't have any paint in there yet, but if I did, while it's still wet, I would just take my toothpick and just drag it across that line, and the paint would come right out. So I'm going to continue, try to stay in between the shiplap lines and then move across them once most of the paint is gone. The trick, you've heard me say it once, you've heard me say 8,000 times, just really light coats. You wanna plan on doing at least 2 coats. Now, for these little buzzed lines, the etched lines, it is the same process. I wouldn't immediately get paint on my wedge and then put it on to those lines. I would get most of the paint off in between and then work my way over. And the same process, if you do happen to get paint in there, that's okay. Just use your toothpick to clear it out. Once I finish this piece, I will go ahead and talk you through the others. Then I will push pause while I finish painting this color and let you finish, and then we'll come back when it comes time for the other pieces. So just a lot of dabbing. Turn on your favorite Netflix show, chit chat with your friends. Okay, so this coat you can tell is kind of spotty, and that's okay. I will completely cover it on the second go around. So I'm gonna set this piece aside, and then I'm going to finish these pieces, do 1 coat, and then go back for the second coat. That way these are dry before I go back and try to do the second coat. So the same rule applies for this piece. Local and fresh, organic, pure, raw. Those are etched in, so you're gonna wanna be really careful with the paint. Start somewhere off to the side and then move over the lettering. The sweet honey and the bees, you don't have to be careful around that. You just need to be able to kind of see them because it's just kind of a guide of where to glue the words and the bees down. So those are just fine if you get paint in them. But as far as the actual etching, you just want to be more careful so you don't have to spend a lot of time clearing out. And I very lightly dab over those letters. Okay, so this is the same process. Once I am finished with the first coat, I'm gonna take my sandpaper that I sent with you guys, and I'm gonna lightly and quickly just do one sand over each, because that will give you a nice smooth surface. You don't have to, that's completely optional. And then I'm gonna do a second coat, let it dry. Generally 90% of the time, that's all I need to do. But if you're not happy with it and you wanna do a third coat, that's fine. So I'm gonna press pause, and then we'll come back when it's time for the next color. Okay, once you have your white pieces finished and dry, I'm going to go ahead and set these off to the side. And now let's do the black color so we can talk about the small pieces. Okay, so there's some black paint, and I'm gonna use just the half wedge for these pieces. I like the smaller wedge when there's little pieces involved, because it feels like you don't get as much paint that just spills over. So, oh, I forgot to mention this in the first video. When I was going through the separate pieces, I didn't talk about the little honey stirrer, because I left that the natural wood color. I did not paint mine. So I'm gonna set mine aside. Once you do these little tiny pieces, that's what these blue tweezers are for. They're gonna help you hold it down. With the bees, you can see how, like on the, especially the tiny one, the antenna and the legs are gonna be more fragile. So I wouldn't pinch like right there, because you have a higher chance of breaking these little tiny pieces. So I would either hold his little bum or maybe his wings without pinching his legs. Generally what I do is I kind of spread the tweezers apart and I just hold the wings this way. So same thing, you're gonna dip your half wedge into your paint, dab off the excess, and then just lightly dab up and down on these little pieces. It's the same process as the other color. This one just happens to have some smaller pieces, so that is what we use our tweezers for. And I like the black paint because I don't feel like I have to be quite as careful, because the sides, sorry, I can already see where I missed a spot, because the sides of your wood are a darker color, so it doesn't stand out as much. Like, for instance, if the white spills over onto the side, you're gonna really be able to tell that stands out, but with the black color, you can't really see it, so I feel like I can move a little faster. Now with this darker color, you can see more of the pieces, or like you can see more if you miss a spot, I should say, because obviously the wood is going to shine through a lot more. So you might not have to do like a full second coat, but I would just inspect each piece to see. The S was supposed to be attached, and it was only attached by a little tiny string. So I'm gonna have to go back into my design and make that a little bit stronger. When I paint them, this is my test to see how they cut. Okay, I'm not gonna paint every single piece while you're on camera because you will get bored. This is just dab, dab, dab. So I'm going to finish these black pieces, and then I'm gonna go ahead and paint the yellow pieces. And it is the same process as with the white. Make sure that you stay in between the lines when you first dab, and then go over. And then if you accidentally get paint into your lines or in these lines, you can use the toothpick to clear it out. So I will press pause and I'm going to finish this. And then once it's dry, I'll come back on when it's time to put everything together. Okay, once you've painted all of your pieces, what is so important is that they are completely dry before you do this next step. The paint needs to be dry before you take the adhesive off of the back. Otherwise, the adhesive is going to stick to the wet paint, but the wet paint isn't attached to the wood yet. So then it's going to pill up and you no longer have anything sticky to put this down on. So just make sure that your pieces are dry. It doesn't take too long when you use the little coats, or the thin coats, I should say. So let's start putting our pieces together. I'm gonna go ahead and you can do this one of two ways. You can, which is what I usually do, because I wanna make sure that I have everything where it needs to be and I haven't mixed up my pieces. So what I like to do, sorry, I see a little bit of dirt on my white paint there. I'm not sure where it came from. So I like to lay out all of my pieces before I even attempt to glue them down, to make sure like I haven't mixed up one of the sizes of the bees or anything like that. So first I did this one. The biggest bee is gonna go on your Be Kind circle. And then I'm gonna go ahead and set that to the side. Then I'm going to take the Local and Fresh honey and put on the frame. And sorry, I got a text. I needed to make sure that it kept recording. And then I'm going to get, I think it's the 3 smallest bees. 2 of them are the tiniest, and then the next smallest. And the Sweet Honey. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. And then the 5 bees that are the same size, they go on the banner. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside. Some tier tray kits, this step might feel like it's not worth it. This is the second largest bee if you were going by sizes. It might feel like it's not worth it, but there are a lot of tier tray kits where there are letters that repeat. They might just be slightly different in size. And so it is really nice to make sure that you don't have any unpleasant surprises at the end that you put down the wrong pieces. Okay, let's do our banner first. So make sure that your surface is dry. I have some wet paint still up here, but I'm on a very small table right now, so I'm just gonna have to be careful. Get your tweezers. I recommended that you buy some sharp tweezers or even normal tweezers. The blue tweezers probably are not going to work for this adhesive. You could even use your fingernail, but it might be difficult on the really little pieces to peel this adhesive up, but as you can see, it does come up very easily. So I'm just going to peel off that back, and then I'm just going to place it. You know, you could be fun and have your bees going every which way if you wanted. I just went ahead and had mine going all upwards. And so once you press down, it's stuck. So just make sure that, like, especially if there's any outlying pieces, that you press everything down, but then it's there. And then I'm just going to work this underneath these pieces, peel up that adhesive. And then for the banner, I like to kind of set them side by side so that I can see approximately where I set the bee, so that they're pretty close to matching. You have to know that you're going to be stringing it across a surface, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But I try to get them close. Peel that up. And then I pretty much just centered his bum on this point. And then I'm just trying to make them approximately the same middle part of the banner. And then the last one, if you have any issues or questions with this adhesive, just let me know. And please, please, once you're done with it, I'm gonna put up a poll, probably towards the end of this month, asking what you prefer between the adhesive and the super glue. And that's so important for me to find out. Okay, so then the string that came with the banner, it's 3 feet long. You can have, if you like the color of the string showing, then you want a string from back through the front. I personally don't necessarily want my string to show, so I'm going through the front and then coming out the back. Okay, so I thought I would get through more pieces before this happened, but I didn't. So as you can see, this is kind of a fraying, which is just gonna make it annoying to go through the holes. So I'm just going to get like a really small piece of Scotch tape, and I'm just gonna put it over, just wrap it around the ends of that string. And that will make it way easier for me. So I'm gonna go through the front, string it close, and then up from the back. Oh my goodness gracious, what did I do? Oh, there we go. For some reason, it looked like I was creating a knot for myself. And then one more. Oops. Okay, and then we have our finished banner that I can set over here. Okay, let's do this piece next. So same thing, you can see the adhesive that has all the writing on it. Just work your tweezer. Come on. Usually it pills up super fast, but that one wanted me to work for it. And then without pressing all the way down, because once you press, remember, it's kind of stuck. So I'm just lining up my corners to make sure that it's nice and even. And then I'm gonna press down. And then you're good. That's all it took. Isn't that so much nicer than the super glue? Maybe not. Maybe you're just like, no. But I've super glued my finger enough to think that this stuff is amazing. Okay, sorry if my head is in the way. I'm just making sure that that is covering the edge. And then these little guys, again, make sure that you don't press on the antennas or the little tiny legs. Okay. And then the letters. There's no reason why I'm doing this backwards. I just happened to pick up the NEY first. You can move from front to back. That's generally what I do. But since I picked up the NEY, now I feel I'm committed to just going backwards. Another important thing with this adhesive is, especially like if there's curves in the letters, you need to make sure that you peel all of it off, because let's say I just peeled like that part off, but then I left this piece on there. This is not going to stick down, which is going to create a lot of like dust and debris can eventually get in there, which is going to break the seal. So you just want to make sure that you get all of the adhesive off. Okay, so the S, this is a perfect example. This is upside down. Even though it looks exactly the same, it is not. So just make sure that it covers your etch so that you don't see that peeking through. Okay, let's do our Be Kind circle. If I'm going too fast, you can just pause it. Make sure that I cover. No, that's not an earthquake. That's just my huge dog getting off of her. She has like a dog bed couch thing, and that's her climbing off and laying down. Okay, same thing with this bee. You can really position him however you want. I just had mine. I tried to center mine, and I just eyeballed it. And then pressed it down. Have a hair in there. There we go. Okay, so we have that finished. Just a couple more pieces. I really, really like this kit because I think that it is so good all through the summer. I mean, really, even into August, I think. If you accidentally set down your a piece in the wrong place and then it's stuck, you can reach out to me. I've had some experience with that, and I can give you some tips. I can't guarantee removal with no damage to your sign, but especially if it's like a small piece, you have a good chance of being able to remove it with no damage. So make sure that you reach out to me. Okay, so this you can do either way. I mean, you can position it whatever you want. So you can set it like this and have your honeycomb over here, or the stirrer stick, or you can position it this way. I think this is what I did last time. But I think, yeah, I like it like this because then I'll have more of the stick stuck on the honeycomb. I'll do that. You can really do whatever you want though. So just going to make sure all the adhesive came off. And then these 3 bottom pieces, and then the sides, I'm just going to line up. Again, I'm not pressing down yet because I want to be able to finagle this a little bit, because I want this part to line up with this side of the tag, and then these 2 to line up with the side of the tag. And then I will press down. And then what should I do? No, I can do it this way. Okay, now what everyone is probably waiting for, let's make our tassel. Okay, so it came with 3 sizes of string. Oh my gosh. How in the world did it create a knot? So you've got your smallest size, your medium size, and then a 6 foot long piece. Set them out by size because you're going to need, for the tassel, you're going to need the 6 foot long piece as well as the shortest piece. So first I'm going to take, this is the 6 foot long piece of string. I'm going to hold my palm like this, and then I am going to hang about that much of the string to the bottom of my palm. And then I'm just going to start wrapping it around my hand. And I'm looking around right now, and I don't think I didn't. I don't have any scissors. I have a scalpel. Okay, so I had some extra, and that's okay. I'm just gonna leave that dangling down. And then I'm going to slide this off my hand so I actually have a loop right now. And I'm going to pinch about 2/3 of the way up, or 3/4, I don't know. And then I'm going to take the smallest string that was in the tag bag. I'm going to leave about this much out, and I'm just going to start wrapping it around just a few times. And then I'm going to tie a really tight knot. One more to get a knot. Okay, I'm actually going to pause because I need the scissors. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like right now. So I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to work my way, this little tiny poof at the top. You need to make an eye so you can see through it. So I'm going to work my pencil through each of these threads. I'm going to make sure I get through all of them. And then I'm just going to kind of pull down on these pieces so that it kind of makes them a little more even. And then once I remove the pencil, you see how there's that hole. You can see all the way through. That's exactly what you're looking for. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a tassel and make it even. I'm just going to take my scissors, cut through all those pieces on the bottom. And then remember I had that one really long piece. I'm just going to go ahead and even that out. I need some new scissors. This is getting dull. And then these two pieces, where's the other one? Right there. This is from that small string that I tied a knot. I'm just going to trim these. You can either have them hang down or just trim them. Don't trim too close that your knot will fall apart. But okay, so now I'm going to keep this pencil close by to make sure that I can always see that eye. Now we're going to take, this is about 18 inches long, I think. So this eye that you made, you are going to just take this string and go all the way through that eye. So I'm going to leave about maybe this much extra, and I'm just going to tie a knot around the tassel. Just like that. And then your handy dandy Scotch tape. I'm going to get 2 small pieces. I'm going to put one on this very end. That's going to help me string my beads, which will be really helpful. Otherwise, you're not going to make it through the beads. There's, oh my gosh, I have one hair that keeps attaching to that tape. And then the next piece, I'm going to take this leftover piece and I'm actually going to tape it to itself. You can go ahead and trim that if you want. I like to just trim it to itself because it gives it a little bit more, or tape it to itself, I mean, because because it gives it a little bit more stability because I put it up into the beads. And I'm just going to roll that like so. So you have, oh my goodness, I almost tipped over my water. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and string our beads. You can string them in whatever order you want. And then as we get down here, I'm going to make sure it goes through. Take the yellow and black. I like to alternate my colors. Go through. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do 2 of these normal wooden beads and then repeat my pattern. Okay. And then, so you should have plenty of string left. That's when we get our tag. And I'm going to go up through the back and I'm going to make sure that I press these beads against the tassel. And then I'm going to pull the bead so that it's touching my tag. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot here. So if I leave this space, then your beads are going to have like more of a space. So you want to be able to tie it as close to the tag as possible. So it might be kind of hard to see. I'm going to do my best to show you, but I'm just going to pull this and go around the back of this tag. It's hard to show and do it all at the same time. And then that creates that little hole. As I pull this, I'm going to go ahead and put my string through that. You're just tying a knot, and then I'm going to repeat that process. Go around the back of your bead, create this hole, and bring. And the reason I'm keeping this down is because I'm trying to keep my beads as close to the tag as possible. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to feed it back up through a couple of the beads if you can. Again, this is not absolutely necessary. You could just trim that string down. One time I just trimmed the string too close and happened to undo the knot and all my beads came out. So this just makes it not do that. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull that with my tweezer because I'm getting a little tight. And then once I've gone through like 4 beads, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that you don't cut this string. I'm just going to cut the excess piece off. And there you have your tag. And you should have all of your pieces done. Please reach out to me if you have any other questions, and I will be happy to go over anything else that is needed.